Ki Jai. Divine Great Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samvartmana Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Samadetta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. You wanna have this kirtan on?
No.
Bhagavad Gita we have here. Om Jnanti Mirandasya Gyanandana Shamakaya Chakshara Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Ganam Dadati Svaparadita Vanchagalpadarubhyascha Kripasindadevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tama Prema Puravi Vurnama Kshatriyam Spurashavam Tegna Sudasi Sudasitikam Krishishta Bhagavan Nachasne Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So, today we'll be exploring very important topic, and I don't see many devotees, so hopefully some do attend online at least, which is believe in yourself. And of course, when we talk about the self, we're not talking about the conditioned body and mind, because these are providing obstacles on our path, that if we think about it, real self means we are the soul, yeah. And what is the soul? Yes. And who is Krishna? Yeah. And what does it mean? He has all perfections, right? And so if you are part and parcel of Krishna, then you are also perfect spiritually, right?
Yes.
But if you identify yourself with the body and mind, this is the cause of all troubles. And so this is really important, and Prabhupada mentions that many times, to realize that we are the body, we are not the body, but we are spirit soul. And it is, we'll be speaking about these points, whatever little experience I have, I can share that. And of course the importance of this subject matter is highlighted in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Of course this is a summary of the Gita, but quite a few verses dedicated to the subject of the soul, right? Starting with 13 until Never actually counted how many verses, that's quite a few. Yeah, from 13 until 30. So, what does it make? 30 minus 13, 17 verses, right? 18 verses in a row. So that shows this is really important subject, right? And what was the most popular subject in Prabhupada's classes? Yes. We are not the body, we are spirit souls. Actually, one time, Srila Prabhupada asked the devotees, what is the basis of our philosophy? What's the fundamental understanding in our philosophy? And of course, so many devotees started saying Krishna is the Supreme Lord, chanting Hare Krishna, love of God, so many things. Prabhupada said, no, this is not the fundamental thing. Fundamental thing is you are not the body, you are spirit soul. And so it's not by chance that this subject, that we are not the body, we are spirit soul, brought up in the 2nd chapter, and only in the 4th chapter Krishna explains himself to be the Supreme Lord. So that shows that this subject is so important that it's brought up even before the subject of Krishna being the Supreme Lord brought up, right? By the Lord himself. And so we'll be reading one of those verses. It's the one before concluding. Actually, this is the concluding verse in the description of the soul. And then the text 30 are the final words on the subject. So this is 229. I'll just read the Sanskrit translation and the purport. You can just listen. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschid yenam ascharyavat padati tattavachanya ascharyavat chainamanya srinati sutvapyana vidana chaiva kaschid. Some look on the soul as amazing. Some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Purport. Since Gita Upanishad is largely based on the principles of the Upanishads, it's not surprising to also find this passage in the Katha Upanishad 1-7. Shavanayapi bhavapiryanalabhya shinvantati bhavayam navidyu ascharya bhakta kushalosya lakha acharyasya gyata kushalanusishtaha. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit, even though it's explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful, either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding, even though it's a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. That's really important statement. We'll read it one more time, if you don't know. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding, even though, well, Atma Tattva, right? This is what Prabhupada means by self-understanding. Even though it's a fact that without this self-understanding, or Atma Tattva, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. So that means without understanding yourself as the soul, you are bound to fail in life. And this is the most important thing, and people are not interested in it, right? How many people live in Adelaide, right? And how many people we have this morning? Very few, right? So that's the pathetic condition of the modern day. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. And that's also kind of mysterious statement, right? How do I think of the soul? We'll discuss that. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes owing to ignorance they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. So we have no problems with that, right? Because we know the difference. What's the difference between soul and super soul? First of all, what are the common grounds? What are the commonalities? Qualities, yes. Same qualities, but yes. We are very small, and Lord is unlimited. It's very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the super soul, the atomic soul, their respective functions and relationships, and all other major and minor details. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul, and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. By the way, the side note that when Prabhupada says man in the purport, it's not gender specific, it refers to human being, right? So, in reference to all. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements of the Bhagavad Gita spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Krishna, without being deviated by other theories. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in the previous ones, before one is able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the causeless mercy of a pure devotee, and by no other way. So we'll read the translation again. Sanskrit translation. Prabhupada says, even if we don't understand Sanskrit, it's purifying. But to speak of understanding. Ascharyavat pasyati kaschet yenam ascharyavat padati tattavachanya ascharyavat chainam manya shinoti sutvapyanam vidana chaiva kaschit. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So there are a few questions we could be asking. How do you look on the soul? Because soul is not visible to the material eyes, right? So how can we perceive the soul and also be amazed by the presence of the soul.
The symptom of the soul is consciousness.
Consciousness, yes. And another symptom is life, right? Soul means life. And it's really amazing, actually, how a tiny little sprout can break through asphalt concrete. You know, it's such a tiny and very tender, right? And it breaks through such a hard surface. It's unbelievable, right? What the soul can do. So it's really amazing to see the soul in action. And of course there are many other examples like that. So we can see soul is amazing, and so yeah, there is huge potential. And the best body for the soul to exhibit its full potential is what? Human body. So we have really best chance to manifest our potential to the max. Unfortunately, as we were saying, that all the potential is in the soul, but all the limitations are connected to the conditioned body and mind, right? And because of that, because of the conditioning, and yeah, actually, many people recognize that human beings have mind-blowing potential. The whole movement was organized to study and explore this subject in 60s, 70s, human potential movement, if anyone heard of it. But the research shows, many people were involved in that, including scientists. But the results of the research show that most of the people, they utilize between 3 and 5% of their potential throughout the life. And the most successful and outstanding people utilize up to 10% of their potential. And the rest is just, never being utilized and just dies with them. Of course, we can understand that we are limited. We're tiny little souls. The size is described 1/10,000 of a tip of a hair, so we're really small, so we're not gods, we're limited. So we might ask, what is the limit of the potential of the soul? And of course, human body is the best instruments through which we can manifest that potential. And the answer we find in Vedic scriptures, that incidentally, if anyone doesn't know, demigods are also included in the category of human beings, right? And who is the topmost demigod? Lord Brahma. So that's the limit of the potential of the soul in the material world. You can become master of one universe only. Right? So we can understand we have a lot of potential to explore despite of our tiny little nature, we can say. So, and we can only imagine, we can't even imagine, but even try to imagine what is Krishna, right? Who is Krishna? If there are unlimited Lord Brahmas and unlimited universes, etc. Right? And Krishna is the source of all this. So, and Srila Prabhupada speaks, explains this point. Again, right? That without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. And the opposite is also true. Like if you say 2 plus 2 equals 4, so 4 minus 2 equals 2, right? So if one statement is true, then the opposite is also true. And so in this way we can understand that the positive is, if you understand and if you actually practice, if you act on the knowledge of the soul, then you'll become successful in every single respect, right? And if you become successful spiritually, you become successful in every single respect, right? Like Srila Prabhupada, actually it was predicted at his birth chart that he'll become one of the richest men in India, right? And he was thinking, I'll do that through business. Didn't work out so well, right? Because he could not really focus on his spiritual activity. But when he fully dedicated himself to doing what his guru told him to do, then without trying hard, he became we can say billionaire. If you recalculate, to open 108 temples, and huge temples also, I'm sure many of you have been to Melbourne Temple, and if you've been to other places, Los Angeles, Toronto, Chicago, Bhaktivedanta Manor, yes. Sorry to leave it out. Actually, it's been my last base before I started traveling UK.
Very valuable property.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, would be around 30 million pounds, I think now, right? Something like that at least. So huge. And so 108 temples like that, plus so many other things, and to achieve that in 10 years, it's unbelievable, right? So yeah, we can understand that Prabhupada left this world being really, really wealthy man, right? So he achieved, but he was not doing that for money. This is really amazing, right? He was doing that to please Krishna. But then money automatically came, right? So this shows, if you really focus on your service, then all the results come automatically. You don't have to strive for them separately. But it takes faith, and it takes determination, and first, it takes confidence. Confidence is really important. We become confident when we have spiritual knowledge and experience, and follow the process of devotional service which is described in scripture. And so, first thing, of course, which prompts us to follow the path is Shraddha, or faith. And so faith means that we are willing to try. And then The next one is Sadhu Sanga, or as it's called in India, Satsanga, right? Same thing. And so Sadhu Sanga is really important to realize ourselves as spirit souls. Why? Because it's different association. Materialistic association means you're associating with people who are envious of you. And they do not wish you well, right? They may do something good to you, mostly if they want some return from you, right? Which is anyway envy, right? In a concealed form. So it's all impure in the material world, right? Even so-called love, right? That some people love fish. But we're not sure if fish is very happy with this kind of love. So yes, this is what the love of material world is, right? And so, but if you associate with saintly persons, if you associate with sadhus, sadhus are the ones who just wish you well without any personal desire. They just want you to be happy in Krishna consciousness for the sake of pleasing Krishna. That's all. Because Krishna will be happy with that if we become Krishna conscious. And so, because sadhu is focused on Krishna, then sadhu is also happy if we become Krishna conscious. And so, of course, we might say to become sadhu like that, without any personal motivation, without any personal desire, that's rare. But it's really important for us to practice, right? And not just practice ritualistic part, coming, bowing down, sitting in a certain way or walking in a certain way. That's an easy part to learning Krishna consciousness, right? All the ritualistic part doesn't take long, just few days. But to actually transform our consciousness, that takes much longer, but it is easier if you do it in a group, right? We've actually brought up this point already, that if you're in devotee association, automatically you feel more Krishna conscious, right? And so, even though not all the devotees have fully developed Krishna consciousness, but still, every little helps, as they say. So when many devotees come together, they bring all their little Krishna consciousness chipping in, and then it becomes quite substantial, right? And that's why the more devotees we have, the more inspiration is there, etc. The more enthusiasm naturally manifests. But it's really important to practice the interaction between the devotees in such a way that it helps us to develop, it helps in our spiritual development. And so, part of my work is also involving interfaith, and I have many friends and colleagues belonging to other spiritual groups, and it helped me to fully realize why Srila Prabhupada says you don't have to change your faith, but if you practice any faith properly, you will come to Krishna. Finally, because all the bona fide scriptures, they stress the same things. And yeah, of course, Krishna consciousness is the topmost understanding, which is very rarely, hardly available in other groups, but it's really important for people to develop at least some qualities before they can understand and appreciate Krishna consciousness. And as we know that there are 3 levels in spiritual advancement: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman means soul realization, Paramatma means super soul realization, and Bhagavan means realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Bhagavan realization is very rare, right? Very few groups. I don't know any group outside of Vaishnava sphere who are focused on Bhagavan realization, but there are more groups focused on Paramatma, and there are plenty focused on Brahman. And some of them are really good in it. And it's also important for us. For us, this is not the kind of end of the journey. For us, it's a stage in our development. But as Chanakya Pandit says, that if you see gold in a dirty place, pick it up. So we can learn good things from other people. And Prabhupada was very open about it. He said, we can learn from Catholics many useful things, right? And he sent devotees to Radharaman temple to learn standards of deity worship. If something is good, we should take it, we should learn it. And so, in my travels, I discovered one very interesting spiritual group, which is situated in Los Angeles. They are Christians, but they belong to a very interesting category, which is called New Thought Christianity. And the difference is that they're really open. They actually accept other traditions. They're quite well familiar with the concepts of karma and reincarnation, and they accept it. And so, I suppose that church is the brightest example of new thought in the modern world. And even the name of this church is very interesting, because in the ancient Greek philosophy, they had 3 names, 3 words for love. And when you hear those words, you will recognize, at least some of them, what kind of love we're talking about. So the lowest level of love is eros. So we can understand that it refers to everything erotic, bodily, basically lust, right? So in the modern world, people call it love also, right? But it's not. It's very selfish, even though it may appear like love. But there is second, higher level of love, which they define as philos. And philanthropic activities, for example, they come from that root, right? That humanistic, doing something for other people. So that's the medium level of love. But then they have the topmost level of love in Greek philosophy. Anyone knows what word they used for the topmost love? Agape. And agape literally means love towards the Supreme Lord. So we can understand it's synonymous of bhakti, basically speaking, right? And this is what they call their church, agape. And the reason probably none of us heard this word, many people heard eros, less people heard philos, and hardly anyone knows agape, because, this is the least popular in the modern world, right? Really rare. Same like bhakti. How many people practice bhakti out of? How many people live in Adelaide? 1.2 million. How many people we have practicing bhakti? So it's very rare. And also indicating how rare and how valuable and how precious the devotees are, right? And sometimes, in the devotee community, we fail to appreciate, we underestimate how rare and how valuable devotees are. And so, but of course we want to do it more, right? To help ourselves and other devotees. And so because we're Sankirtan movement, we can only advance together. There is a Christian saying that the family which prays together stays together. But then one of our leaders, one of our GBC members, he said, but family who dances together advances together. So yeah, this is what we do. Don't laugh too hard. Otherwise, Danda is trying to make Dandavas to Radha Sundara. And so, this church, Agape Church, and of course, as they say, as it says in India, Yatha Raja Tata Praja, right? That according to the king, so the subjects are exactly the same. So, and it's also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Yadyada Charati Shreshtas Tattata Vitarojana, that everything depends on the leadership. As the leader, so are the followers. And so they have quite an amazing leader. First of all, he follows all the principles, and he's vegan, and he's like so serious about his spiritual practices, even though he's married, but with his wife, they go regularly in holy places, and they actually stay there in caves and meditate and pray for like extended periods of time. And so, and he's great friends with the devotees, and now they have their own restaurant. He used to come to our restaurant to take prasadam, and he invited regularly devotees to Agape, not just to participate, but actually he established Krishna Day in Agape Church in their calendar. Every year they have Krishna's Day, And so devotees come on the stage, and this is huge church. This is one of the mega churches, right? In Los Angeles, of all the places where, you cannot surprise people with anything material or spiritual, they've seen it all. For this service, 10,000 people come every Sunday. And on regular days, like I think Wednesday, they have midweek services, about 4,000 or 5,000 people come. And so, many Prabhupada disciples go there. Many Prabhupada disciples, they take inspiration from him. But he's really simple and very humble man. And he gives the devotees whole stage, and devotees preach, they do kirtan, whatever. And at the end, they collect donations, and they give very generous amount of cash to the devotees to appreciate like that. And devotees would come to his place to distribute books, and they were asking me, like, can we have a booth because they have like spiritual market, right, where different people have their booths. And he said, why do you need booth? All these people are yours, just go to anyone and distribute them books same way like you do on the street. So very, very friendly. And one famous Prabhupada disciple who have done a lot of services joined in 68 the movement, and even if you don't know him personally, you would know his service, because he is filmmaker, professional filmmaker, and he produced Prabhupada Memories series. Right? Probably many of you saw that. So his name is Siddhanta Prabhu. And he's of course really amazing devotee. I discovered that all the devotees who have done so many valuable services to Prabhupada, they have amazing qualities, and obviously these things are interconnected. And so he is extremely humble and very simple and has amazing service attitude. And I mentioned to him about agape, and he told me we had some plans for collaboration with them, because it's like the kind of natural partnership to do so many things together. And he said, I actually want to go to one of their services and see what they are doing, to feel the agape spirit. And I took him there, and I was a little bit surprised. I was thinking, like in so many years of spiritual practices, what he wouldn't see, what are the experiences he wouldn't have. But anyway, he wanted to go. And then he said, just he said just an introduction he went through brought tears to his eyes, because they managed to create an amazing spiritual atmosphere from the very beginning in their church. And rather than telling you about it, I wanted you to have an experience of it as well. Even though it's on a smaller scale, it's not like 10,000 people in here, obviously. But I found it really works. And so they basically greet each other, but they do it in quite a special way. And so what I wanted you to do is to greet each other in a certain way. I'll be telling you certain words and I'll ask you to repeat after me. But you'll be facing each other. I want you to sit in pairs, facing each other, and repeating after me. But try to do it not just mechanically, but try to do it with all your heart. And I'll modify this greeting a little bit to make it more suitable to the Hare Krishna environment. Okay? So just look at each other and address each other. Okay, please repeat after me. Welcome to Hare Krishna Temple. I recognize you. I see who you truly are. You are the spiritual image. In the very likeness of Krishna. A unique emanation. Of beauty. Love. And divine intelligence. Indeed. You are one of a kind. Wonderful. One of a kind. Magnificent. Brilliant. Unfolding genius. And today we will get to celebrate your very existence. We're celebrating your infinite potential. We appreciate you. And we thank Krishna for you. Welcome to Hare Krishna Temple. Alright? That's about it.
They say that every time they eat.
So it was little bit formal, but still I'm sure you felt some difference. Right? Anyone wants to comment? Share if you felt any difference or you had any realizations. Yes?
Thank you, Maharaj. I felt this was a very good moment to share the gratitude I have for this Mataji. She's new here, she's visiting in New Zealand, and whatever I served genuinely from my heart, and I had this opportunity to thank her from Krishna.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else?
Makes you very conscious. Sorry. Makes you very conscious that you're addressing another spiritual being.
Okay. Yes. It really worked. That it really brings enthusiasm, right? Because we are not addressing each other as bodies, we're addressing each other as souls. Thank you. Anyone else?
Mine's heartwarming as well. Yeah, heartwarming.
Heartwarming. Very good. Thank you.
And very much welcoming, you know, the other person, if you talk like that, the other person will really be enthusiastic and feel welcoming, and you know, somebody is loving again, really very respect.
Okay.
So it's a very good, like,
Very good.
very welcome.
Anyone else?
To make another person, you were so important to the Krishna consciousness.
Make people feel important. Yes. Valuable. Right. All right. So, any realizations, any conclusions? What do we do with it? Do we discard it?
Should be practicing
Practicing daily.
How do we practice it?
by greeting.
If the new devotees come, especially to this, but acknowledging very much.
Yeah, that you can do it, but you know, like in there, they do it to all the new people.
Yeah.
And new people stand up, and everybody else, like thousands of people, are looking at them and telling them this.
Wow.
So you can imagine what does it make them feel. So And it's quite amazing that, their leader came up with this idea.
Like it should come from the real heart. It shouldn't
Yes.
be a formality. Like some people try to be just formal, but they don't believe or they don't feel like that. So when we have to do that, it should really come from our heart. It should be natural.
Yeah, I was thinking that a natural thing would be to encourage the devotees individually, right? And sometimes we don't want to do that because there is a widespread superstition in the Hare Krishna movement why you should not say good things to the devotees. Anyone knows what the superstition is?
I'm your enemy if I flatter you.
Huh?
I'm your enemy if I flatter you.
Okay, and what does it mean? I'm your enemy.
It means you may become proud.
Yes, that this is the widespread superstition. And in order to help you see how it is, we'll make an experiment that anyone here can say any good thing about any devotee present in the room. No one can say anything good about them. Okay.
Like say about Krishna Prabhu.
Okay.
Both particularly Krishna Prabhu. He is not only the treasurer, but he does a lot of service. He's probably one of the only devotees in the world who supplies every book within his ISKCON as possible. He runs Spiritual Sky. I think every book which is sold in ISKCON is managed by Prabhu. And he does a lot of service in the temple.
Okay.
So I don't think without him we can fully survive. So,
Yes.
backbone.
Sometimes it feels that he's full-time serving and not doing anything else, right?
I would like to talk about Laura and her mother. They are really very new to Hare Krishna movement, but they are doing amazing work. The enthusiasm they have shown and the work they like, especially Laura and mother, like they are doing so much flowers, making vases. On Janmashtami, she alone did paint of all this in a room. So really they are doing great.
Good.
That's really appreciable.
And I just talk about these two young men. I was greeting them. I like it should be like they are both parents and they have he has a son and he has a son too. But they bring to the Gopal Play School. The beauty is this: like if every parents bring their children so they can have to the Gopal Play School, then they can have exposure to Krishna and what is our culture, what good things we teach. So normally Sunday, parents what they do, they will take to the picnic, pictures, movies, wherever. But they bring to the temple, and that's the right thing to do. Means it's a great thing to do. Means you have to just showing them path, right time. And they are in a Western atmosphere. It's very hard here to get these things. So I really appreciate. And apart this, they do a lot of service in the temple too. So yeah.
Very good. Anyone else wanted to try?
I'd like to say some Nand Krishna Guru. Since I've been here, which is only about a month, he's been always very helpful, courteous, and has a very sweet, serving mood.
Thank you. So, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Like, instead of naming someone, I would prefer to tell about every devotee here.
We want to be specific because then we want to check how that worked on that particular individual. So if you can say about one person, that would be more effective.
And I would prefer to tell about Pushpamataji.
Okay.
So, like, I always feel that she invites everyone, with heart, and she always makes sure that everyone is invited, everyone is treated with a good priority. It looks that everyone is being given a high priority. She prefers to give, like she makes simple things also, and she remembers everything, and she helps each other. Anyone, whoever comes to her, she helps her. So I think it's a good place to be meted when we enter into the temple.
Thank you. So someone else wanted to say?
Krishna, I'll just repeat on Markandeya Prabhu and also our friend Girish Prabhu. They are fairly new in this temple, but they have got a lot of enthusiasm to come and do service. We've got a group where we invite devotees to come and help say when we have got extra work, and they are always cooperative. They are always enthused about being invited to come and do service.
Mm-hmm.
So every second weekend we have like every first and third Sunday in the month we have this Sunday feast, and sometimes devotees, the pujaris who do the cooking, including few of us here. We find very difficult to find people to do chopping of vegetables. You send a text, you'll get a reply, soon I'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
And same with cleaning services, anything you call them for, they're here. So yeah, I want to encourage them and make them welcome, feel welcome all the time.
Thank you. So last chance, if anyone wants to say. Yes.
I'll say about two Prabhujis. So I'll first say about this Prabhuji who is single-handedly managing the ISKCON home programs, and he organizes all of them, and he transmits them to the Facebook all the time, and he does a lot of cooking in the kitchen as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the other Prabhuji is sitting behind me, and the whole family is involved with ISKCON, and during home programs, during auspicious time when people call them to their home, they take Krishna and the whole family is there and do all the pujas at their home, and the whole family is involved, which is very good.
Thank you. All right, so let's check it out. Let's see what happened to those who were mentioned. That if, and few devotees you've spoken about, and so let's see those who listened about yourself, and did you feel, yes, I'm so great? Finally someone recognized my greatness. You're all laughing, right? Okay. Tell me, how did you feel, Laura? Any thoughts you had when people were saying about you?
Not because I'm not embarrassed about serving Rasayana Sagar, but maybe I don't associate with the recognition because I'm just second best.
You felt like that?
Yeah.
So did you feel that I could be doing much more?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, okay. How many of you felt when people were talking about you or feeling I should be actually doing much better to deserve that recognition? Okay. So this is simple experiment, and we can see that it is superstition. But why Shastra says like that? Because you, instead of appreciating devotees from the heart, you will flatter people. Flattery is, done by enemies. So that's why we should not flatter people. And flattery means, you're not sincere. And that's why it was very good what Mataji mentioned, that we should do it from the heart. Appreciate people from the heart. But if we appreciate devotees, instead of becoming proud, they feel, I should be doing much more and much better. Right? So, and in this way you can actually help them to grow spiritually. Alright, so I hope that was useful to some extent. To understand what does it mean to realize yourself as a soul. We have one other exercise, but if anyone has any questions, we can address that. In the meanwhile, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, my question is regarding the association. Like when you told, like when you're associated, when you have satsang or when you are associated with the devotees, then you move forward to Krishna conscious. With your permission, can I take one personal example of mine to put my question forward?
Okay.
Like me and my husband, when we are offering prasad to Krishna, so what I believe is he should be given tulsi at all the time, and we have to do sashtangam, and we have to request, please Krishna eat, then only he eats. But my Prabhu, sometimes he forgets things. Then I keep nagging him saying, oh, you forgot this, you forgot this. In that way, like I'm just trying to make out the things that he is not doing properly. So if we keep doing that together, then will that association let us move forward nearer to Krishna conscious, or am I doing wrong in pointing out wrong in my Prabhu?
Well, it depends on how you do it. If you do it without malice, it can produce good results. But yeah, you can also think of what can help him to remember rather than reminding him.
I am her Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah, you can tell her what will help you to remember. Yes.
Forgive me, I was told that this was a workshop on self-confidence or...
Yeah.
Okay. You haven't actually... Please forgive me if I'm off the ball. I can't... you haven't actually directly, to my knowledge, mentioned self-confidence.
Well, we mentioned that confidence is really important, and it comes from spiritual understanding, and we develop that confidence in Sadhu Sanga.
So is this the way you address like secular groups?
Yes, also, because recognition that we're spirit souls is in most of the groups. Most people, they recognize that we're not the body. It's not hard to understand. Prabhupada was even explaining that to the school kids, and even they could pick it up. But it's not everything. We'll do another exercise which will help us to develop more of the self-confidence. If there are no other questions. Yes.
Right, with all the things going on around us, work life, family life, a lot of challenges, a lot of stress, how do we keep our Krishna consciousness, our enthusiasm always high, not fall? We see that just like a wave goes up and down, sometimes good, sometimes like I wouldn't be bothered. How do we always keep it 100%, just on the ball and keep it?
Yeah, it's a very serious question, and if you're planning to come tomorrow for spiritual entrepreneurship session, that you will have the answer. But my short answer, devotees are not meant to work for anyone. Devotees are meant to be at least self-employed, and there are ample opportunities for that, and we'll discuss that more. Yes.
Maharaj ji, whatever faith you are practicing, as long as you're good practicing that particular faith, will still go back to Godhead, if I had it correctly. In my professional environment and where I interact with people, and somehow I interact with some very good people, but they are different faith. And somehow we start talking about our temple, mosque, church, whatever. And then somehow, end of the conversation or within the conversation, I show them my phone. I want to see my deities at the temple. We are at 25 Lincoln Street, and I talk about their church as well. The statement which I've made, and I just wanted to make it clear today, is that end of the conversation, I'm saying anyway, whichever, God is one, and we are taking different paths to reach Him. But somehow deep inside me, I'm thinking I'm making a wrong statement. So I'm kind of, I know it's all nothing is contradictory. So today you've mentioned that Prabhupada ji said everyone will, no matter what faith, they can, if they're practicing well, they can go back to Godhead.
Yeah.
So is this a statement? But then inside me I'm saying no, it is a way, but then our path to Krishna is different because we have God.
Yeah.
We don't need meat, we are different.
Yeah. There are no different paths. There is only one path according to Krishna, and everybody is on the path, even those people who don't believe in God at all. Because Krishna says, Mamavat madhavartante manusya partha sarvasha, right? That everyone follows my path. There is only one path, and it's Krishna's path. But some people follow it in the wrong direction. Some people follow it downwards. It's also Krishna's system, right? Whatever he set. That even hellish planets are also Krishna's part of Krishna's kingdom. But those who believe in God and try to serve Him, they are following this path on the right. They are on the right direction. So we are on the same path. Difference is how far your path goes, right? It's the same path. It's like the difference between, say, Melbourne and Adelaide. I learned something about 800 kilometers, right? So, but there are many points in between Melbourne and Adelaide, right? So if you go from Adelaide, how far you go towards Melbourne. Will you stop midway? Will you cover 3/4 of the path? So that's the only difference. So some spiritual traditions, mostly they go to heavenly planets, right? Christianity and Islam, typical examples. Other traditions, I would say, Buddhists, they go towards exit from this material world, nirvana, the exit point, liberation. Not even liberation, they just want to exit, that's it. And even though nirvana is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, so that's also important. But some traditions like Jewish tradition, they actually have, their goal is actually Brahman in a larger sense. And then you have all the Vaishnava traditions, they go to the spiritual world, but on the spiritual world there is also a huge variety of choices, different Vaikuntha planets, and then the ultimate, the topmost station is Goloka Vrindavan, right? So it's exactly the same path, but different traditions means people set themselves different goals on this path, but we encourage them because they move in the right direction. And so by moving in the right direction, they can gain more spiritual knowledge, more saintly association, and they can continue along this path, right? So that's why we're not discouraging them. We don't want to discourage them. We want to encourage them. You're on the right path, so please keep moving. Like we might say, yes, we as Vaishnavas, they we don't take meat, but they do take meat. But they're not taking meat like materialistic people. Every religion you will see, there are restrictions. Certain types of meat are completely forbidden. And there are fasting periods in every tradition, right? So they are not as serious as we are, but they're also controlling that thing, right? And by controlling that, they become free from that attachment gradually. And I've seen how it happens. That I met a Muslim who said, by doing fasting, I've realized that it's really helpful for my spiritual advancement. And so I've decided to give up meat altogether. Like that. And yeah, there are people like that. By practicing their faith, they come to understanding that they have to become vegetarian, etc. Yeah, and actually then he met the devotees. He started, next thing, Krishna brought him to Govinda's restaurant. He started taking prasadams. It's like Krishna is the same God for everybody. And so Krishna is encouraging different people in different traditions. And so we just have to, as Prabhupada says, we just have to encourage them to be serious about what they practice, because that's their level. Like you have the, primary school, secondary schools, high school. So whoever is in the primary school, what's the use of telling him about high school, right? Let them pass their exams first, and then they can move on. Because to practice devotional service is really rare. So, and we have to recognize that. And so we don't have so much time, so I will ask you to do this at home. But this is a really useful exercise to recognize your potential and increase your confidence level. This exercise is called My Blessings. And so just, especially, I'm sure, since the time you've started chanting Hare Krishna, I'm sure that many things you've gained in your life. And that the very fact that you are practicing Krishna consciousness means you are continuing from your past life. And so because you've been devotee for more than one life, it means that you're already blessed in many ways from birth, right? So just give little time and put as many points as you can come up with. What are the blessings in your life?
Sorry, does that mean, because when I first saw this, I thought it meant, when I first saw this, I thought it meant, how would I bless somebody?
No, my blessings means what...
Blessings that I have.
Yes.
Yes.
What are the blessings? You know, your education, your position, your contacts, your resources, anything, your qualities, your abilities, it's all blessings from Krishna, right? And you will see in this exercise, if you do it, you will come to realization, oh my God, I'm really underestimating myself. I could be doing so much more for Krishna than I'm doing now. I have so much potential which is, just lying dormant, and I'm not really using it. Right? So please do this exercise, and we wish you the very best with developing your spiritual potential. And looking forward to see you tomorrow for our spiritual entrepreneurship session, in which you will learn how to use it all to full extent.
When is that?
Maharaj, some of us who come for the Bhagavatam class have got to be going and coming again. I was wondering as to whether could we have it at 10 o'clock instead of 11, and then we can finish at 11:30. I don't know how other devotees feel about starting at 10 and finishing at 11:30 rather than starting at 11 and finishing at 12:30. Because quite a few of us are coming for Bhagavatam class and stay on and finish off the...
As long as it will not
even
confuse the...
I'm just open to suggestions, but even 9:30 is okay. As long as Maharaj, you're okay with the time.
As long as people will not be confused by short notice announcement.
Yes,
I'm fine with it. So you can consider. Because many people are already... It was already announced, right?
Yes,
if that's easy thing to do, then do it. Yes, why not? All right. So 12:30 we have Arati, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll finish here. Thank you all very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.